And as we continue on our discussion this morning, you just heard from Representative Martha McSally of Arizona, another representative joining us. That's Marcy Kaptur, Democrat of Ohio, not a member of the Appropriations Committee, but also a member of the Congressional Ukrainian Caucus. She is their founder and co-chair. Good morning.
Good morning, Pedro, and to your listeners.
Ukraine in the papers this morning on several fronts. The Washington Times has a headline story taking a look at requests from members of the House to beef up military aid in Ukraine. Why is that?
Well, first of all, it's a very difficult situation, but Ukraine is asking for defensive weapons to meet the onslaught of the Russians on their eastern border. There's no question that Russia's capabilities are much greater than Ukraine's, but to leave Ukraine defenseless is not in the interest of Ukraine either. And so I think they're walking a very narrow line, trying to defend against the rockets and the tanks that are coming in, and trying to defend their eastern edge.
Why escalation now when things have been quiet over the last few weeks and months?
Well, they actually haven't been quiet. Russia has been creeping onto the eastern territories of Ukraine, working her way down to the Black Sea through Crimea, for example. And Europe, because of their reliance on Russia for energy, has been very reluctant. You saw Angela Merkel from Germany met with the president. She even came to the United States this week, very, very transfixed, very, very torn because of Russia's ability to manipulate the energy markets of Europe. So Ukraine looks to the United States as an honest broker and as a country that has supported NATO, though Ukraine right now is not asking for NATO status. I think if you were to look back a decade and say what went wrong, I think what went wrong was the free world did not find a landing pad for Ukraine on the military side. There could have been another aggregation of nations, perhaps with Georgia, Poland, giving her a stepping stone to Europe and to the security umbrella of Europe, but not direct NATO status, which threatens Russia. Remember, Russia was invaded by then Nazi Germany and lost 22 million people. So Russia is not comfortable with Europe completely either. And so one has to take this progressively. But I think that Ukraine having no security umbrella is terribly dangerous to her.
I'm sorry, what's been the White House reaction to this call from House members and others to arm the Ukrainians?
Well, they're listening, but very cautious, obviously. And complicated by Russia-U.S. interests in other parts of the world. I think that President Obama and Vice President Biden have not been trigger happy, thank God. We've had presidents who are, and haven't fully thought through the consequences. But I think they're listening now, and they've been working very hard to walk in tandem with our European allies. Ukraine could be the greatest nation in Europe. Her land mass, her resources, her agricultural bounty, looking forward, extraordinary. But right now, she is at this critical moment. It feels like 1789 in Ukraine, when our nation was founded, and their young leaders are coming forward. I brought you a picture of some of those leaders. That was on the front page of Roll Call last week. These are young parliamentarians. I asked one of them, I said, are you Thomas Jefferson? Are you George Washington? He said, I'm Patrick Henry. And so they're just at the very beginning of this tender stage in building their nation state.
Leaders, also religious leaders coming asking for military assistance?
Yes. In fact, the leader, Patriarch Filaret, probably his last trip to the United States, very brave and faith-filled man, when asked by the press, are you supporting defensive aid to Ukraine, he said, I am here for that reason. That's an extraordinary statement by a Christian leader, and understanding that his citizenry, they're being killed by the Russians with no ability to defend themselves.
Efforts on Ukraine by the United States, taking a look at the issue there. Our guest joining us, Representative Marcy Kaptur of Ohio, the Congressional Ukrainian Caucus founder and co-chair. You have questions